Hey everyone, it's Danielle Taylor with Keller Williams Realty here on the beautiful Outer Banks. And today's episode of Dear Danielle is, hey Danielle, what's the difference between earnest money deposit and due diligence fee? The answer is, great question. So let's dive in. So the earnest money deposit is the easiest one to explain because it's fairly common in a lot of markets. The earnest money deposit is monies that are usually in our market held in escrow by the closing attorney, the buyer's closing attorney, as a deposit. When the buyer goes to closing, they get credit for those funds at closing. And should the buyer decide to cancel the contract really for any reason or no reason at all during their due diligence period, in most cases, those funds would be returned to the buyer. The due diligence fee, notice the difference. Earnest money deposit on deposit. Fee, due diligence fee is a check made due and payable directly to the sellers immediately upon going under contract. The sellers get that money, they cash that check. When the buyer goes to closing, they get credit for those funds. However, should the buyer decide to cancel the contract for any reason or no reason at all, they do not, in most cases, get that money back. So when I'm counseling my buyer clients, that's really money that you have to be willing to put at risk should you find something out during your due diligence process that would make you change your mind on the transaction. So hopefully that explains it for you between due diligence fee and earnest money deposit. Refundable in many cases prior to the end of due diligence, usually not refundable unless you can prove a seller breach, but that's a whole other situation. The other thing that this gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about is the due diligence process in North Carolina. So the standard offer to purchase and contract in North Carolina does not include contingencies. So in many markets, you're used to writing contingent on home inspection or contingent on financing. We don't do that. Instead, here we have a catch-all period of time called due diligence. During that time period, a buyer's going to do anything and everything that they want to do to make sure that they want to move forward on the purchase of the property. We're going to arrange all your financing, get the appraisal, do any inspections, home inspection, termite inspection, septic inspection, anything that we want to do to make sure that this is the home for you. If during that period of time, a buyer changes their mind for any reason or no reason at all, the buyer can cancel the contract, and in most cases, the earnest money deposit is returned, the due diligence fee would be forfeit. So that's really it in a nutshell. The buyer holds really most of the power when it comes to the contract because they can decide whether to stay in or not. The seller is really in it for the long haul. So that's the reason that oftentimes a due diligence fee will be negotiated, is because that's the only thing that the seller gets if the buyer decides to change their mind. I kind of like to explain it as in you're buying the time to make sure you want to move forward on the property. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it can be a little confusing. As always, if you have any questions about this or the market or buying and selling or Airbnb or short-term rental, I'm your girl. So please give me a call, text, email. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to make sure you're on our list for our newsletter. Hope you all have a great day.